something I've been on for a long time. So 3 years ago, all of us sort of believed the AFC was going to be Mahomes and Josh Allen. It was going to be Brady and Manning. We found our guys. They're unbelievable. And then 2 years ago, we added another, Joe Burrow. Like, well, this kid's good. So we found our Brady, Manning, and Big Ben. The AFC is going to go through three guys, three-star quarterbacks, like it did Brady, Manning, Big Ben. It's going to be Mahomes, Josh Allen, and this emerging stud, Joe Burrow. And where are we today? Well, last time we checked on Patrick Mahomes, 3 Super Bowl appearances, won 2, rebuilt the wide receiver group in the offensive line, did his offensive head coach. He's happy he's winning. He's got that offensive coach and support system. Mahomes is everything we thought he would be. Let's check in with Joe Burrow. Also has an offensive coach. He's been to a Super Bowl. They rebuilt their offensive line. And lots of weapons. He's winning, not beating Mahomes in the big one, but winning and very happy. And where is Josh Allen? With a rigid defensive coach. 5th year, can't get the offensive line right. Last year, if you took out Josh Allen rushing yards, still a crappy run game, 24th. Josh Allen's running too much, getting hit too much. Now the star receiver is unhappy and they can't develop a second receiver. Gosh, I wonder what it could be. The defensive, rigid, conservative head coach, Sean McDermott. These guys are tone deaf. Belichick puts a defensive coordinator at OC with Mac Jones. Mike Tomlin, 5 years, O-line still stinks. Sean McDermott is the issue. Pro Football Focus did a preseason offensive line ranking. That's sort of an important position. Protect your star quarterback. 7 of the 8 top O-lines, offensive head coaches. 7 of 8. By the way, Pro Football Focus has the most improved offensive line in the offseason. 1 of 2, Sean Payton, offensive coach. Fixed it in 3 months. Sean McDermott can't fix it in 5 years. What did he do this offseason? Went and signed another defensive lineman and gave Ed Oliver a very expensive extension. I watched Sean McDermott get out-coached by Mike McDaniel of Miami 3 times last year. One time he beat him. Another time Tua lost a walk-off field goal. And Skylar Thompson in Buffalo, cold, chilly weather, took Josh Allen to the wire. That's embarrassing. There's another defensive coach. He's young. He's got promise. DeMeco Ryans, Houston Texans. You see the story today? He's going to have an open quarterback competition. What? You just drafted C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. Davis Mills tied for the NFL lead in interceptions. He's 5-19-1. He's not the guy. Give C.J. Stroud every snap today until the season starts. That's what offensive coach Frank Reich announced last week. Yeah, Bryce Young's the guy. Remove controversy, remove media questions. All DeMeco Ryans is doing is begging for the Houston media. Ask, point, questions, doubt, who's the guy? The offensive coach gets it. The defensive coach is tone deaf. Davis Mills, really? That's the future? So when I see that Stefon Diggs is unhappy, Andy Reid doesn't have these problems, Zach Taylor doesn't have these problems, Sean McVay doesn't have these problems. And by the way, Kyle Shanahan, offensive coach, when Debo got unhappy for about an hour and a half, fixed it immediately, done, paid him, happy. Sean McDermott, last chance. He's the issue. Watched him get out-coached by Mike McDaniel 3 times. You can't lose to Miami if you have Josh Allen. Can't. Not against Skylar Thompson. Got to win going away. Not against Tua. Got to win going away. It's a quarterback mismatch. Size, strength, mobility, arm strength. Got to win going away. All right, so I saw this was interesting. So Bill Simmons' podcast had Doc Rivers on it. And I had said during the season that the MVP vote was more of an anti-Jokić vote. He'd won 2 straight. Nobody wanted to give him a third. Than it was a pro-Embiid vote. There was no reason you could say Embiid was more valuable. His team had a winning record when he didn't play. The net rating was like +7 when he didn't play. Denver's net rating when Jokić doesn't play is -5. It's a double-digit swing. Isn't that the definition of valuable? So Doc Rivers had to talk Embiid into playing on certain nights. And he says he's hopeful, even though he's gone, that he can eventually consistently make his teammates better. And that's your MVP. It was an anti-Jokić vote. He's not nearly as valuable as Jokić. And I said this before the long Denver playoff run. The MVP vote has become the MIP vote. Most interesting person. Embiid is more interesting. Maybe the NBA season is so long that writers need to be entertained. They're looking for stories and narratives they can put their arms around. But Russell Westbrook's never been the most valuable anything. He's just talented. But KD bailed on him, so he was the most interesting player. James Harden's quirky, fashionable, had the step back. He's never made anybody significantly better, but he was the most interesting player in the league. And Embiid is interesting. He's funny. He's very social. He's hard not to like. But he's not more valuable. I know. Colin, can't count the playoffs. This is a regular season award. I know. I looked it up. The Sixers without Embiid were 11-5. They were better when he was off the floor. The net rating was +7. The Nuggets were a disaster when Jokić didn't play well. And here's the thing, pivoting to the playoffs, Jokić always plays well. He's always available. He had 20 playoff games. They went 16-4. He didn't have a clunker. I mean, there was one game he got into foul trouble. He didn't have a clunker. He's more durable. He's more analytically superior. He makes players better. Doc Rivers acknowledging. I had to tell Embiid, you got to play tonight. You think anybody has that discussion with Jokić? He has to consistently make everybody better. Jokić does. I understand that Embiid is more interesting. And I also understand it's a regular season award. But let's be honest right now. Jokić is the best basketball player in the world. Embiid, when he's playing, we watch this during the playoffs. A lot of times his team stands around and watches him dribble. I like Embiid, but there was an argument that really the MVP, if not Jokić, was Giannis. He was the number one seed. He, for a player that played at least 50 games, had the highest win-loss percentage record. You could argue it was Jokić, Giannis, Embiid, or Giannis, Jokić, Embiid. But the MVP has become the MIP. And Embiid, I'll say this, is very interesting and very likable and very funny and very talented. But I thought those comments by Doc Rivers to Bill Simmons, kind of eye-opening. I know, it's a regular season award. I know. Look at the net rating. Look at the win-loss record when he didn't play. Look at the elevation of others. It felt like it was an anti-Jokić vote. And by the way, nobody hates Jokić. That's a silly narrative. Nobody hates Jokić. He's not the most fascinating player. But nobody hates. David Robinson wasn't fascinating. Duncan wasn't fascinating. Nobody hated Tim Duncan. When I hear that, Americans, they don't embrace. No. I saw the ratings for the NBA playoffs. They were the highest in 5 years. I saw the ratings for the finals, a tick below the dynastic Warriors and the Celtics, huge brand. So people like watching Jokić. His game's got a little garbage element to it, a lot of putbacks and long and not dynamic. Nobody hates Jokić. That's just outrageous. You don't win the MVP twice if people hate you. His game is not the most flamboyant. He looked weird at the All-Star game. He literally didn't fit at the All-Star game. That's okay. Not every great player does. I grew up with Jack Sikma, very good player. Many of you in the Northwest still lives up there. Great basketball player. All-star qualities. Would never have fit into an all-star game. Dr. J, they built it for him. Magic, LeBron, Michael Jordan, Embiid. There are certain guys they built the all-star game for. Nobody hates Jokić, but he is unquestionably the most valuable player in the league. Regular season, postseason, it's not necessarily close. Nobody has to talk him into playing. Nobody has to hope he elevates others. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.